for crying out loud, it removed the earned income thing too. Like, just let everyone contribute to an IRA, 7,500, Roth traditional. Pick your whatever you want to do, and enjoy your retirement. If I was king for a day, that would be number one on my list. I'd get rid of this. It's just complication, and there's no need for it.
Welcome to the Fiscal Foxhole, the podcast proving you don't need a degree in finance, just some grit, a game plan, and maybe a sense of humor. Your hosts are retired Army veteran Rob Moore and retired Marine veteran Omen Quelvog. Together, they'll help you dodge financial landmines, call in the air support on your savings, and laugh at the ridiculous money mistakes we've all made. If you can survive mandatory fund days, you can survive personal finance. Welcome to the Foxhole.
Welcome to the Foxhole. My name is Omen Quelvog. I'm your host today. And with me, as always, is my favorite battle buddy, Rob Moore.
Good afternoon, Omen. Looking fresh in the new year. Good to see you again. Did you stay up till midnight a few nights ago?
Of course not. My old man kicks in at 10 o'clock, and it doesn't matter if it's December 31st or not. That is when my old man kicks in, just so it can wake me up at 05.
We didn't either. In fact, everyone went to bed. My daughter had a red eye. Well, I can say red eye. She had an early flight yesterday morning. My wife planned that. And then, so my wife ended up taking her. So she went to bed early. And my son's on permanent swim practice time. So he always goes to bed early. Yeah. So he was out. And my teenage son, I think he stayed up. But yeah, I was out early as well. It was a pretty nice, easy night. I did spend time as I was falling asleep regretting some of my New Year's predictions. And
my gosh, dude.
Yeah. Just two of them.
I think we have to stop and talk about that for just a second because I went back and I listened to our other episode and I was like, what was I thinking about Indy? And, we're not going to go through every single one of them here because we are going to review these at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. But what was I thinking about Indy? I had such high hopes for Phillip Rivers.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think I was just really, I don't know, like as a 45-year-old guy, watching a 44-year-old guy come out of retirement 4 years later and kind of plop around on the field like I see him doing, I just had high hopes that he would take Indy all the way. And yeah, those came crashing down. That was a terrible, terrible prediction.
Yeah. I don't have any sympathy for you because I think some of mine were equally as bad. The first one was like the 500 for Trump saying, what was the word that Trump was going to say?
Yeah, I can't remember what
I can't remember. Well, whatever it was. Like, I look back, I'm like, it seems a little high. But the other one, and I knew predicting right away, I knew it was wrong when I said it. I don't regret it. It's the Taylor and Travis breaking up. I still have hope, but now he's talking about retirement now.
Bro, I was going to bring that up. Yeah. I mean, not only are they not going to break up? I mean, I was watching interviews this past weekend where they're talking about like, why are you sticking around? You've already won all the Super Bowls. You've already done everything any tight end can possibly do. Like, just retire. He's like, I mean, it's pretty much his going away party right now going on. So yeah, I don't think they're breaking up, and it gets worse. Like, I don't think he's sticking around.
Yeah. No, it's okay though. If he's going to stay with the Yoko Ono of the Chiefs, then farewell. If you're going to quit on the Chiefs, then quit on the Chiefs. Like, that sounds a little rough, but like what I see on the field, it's not the same. And I know we get older and whatever, but ever since the last 2 years, it just looks different from him. And so maybe, good for him. I'd be happy for him. He retires, go out, be happily married. I hope they're happily married the rest of their life. But the spiteful NFL fan in me hopes they break up and he comes back better than ever, but probably not going to happen.
Hey, I remember the word. It was tremendous. That's what it was. It was tremendous.
Yeah.
And I do have to say that my wife agrees with you that you were incorrect on your assessment. Mm-hmm. She actually thinks it's going to be much higher. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes and how this plays out.
If it goes over 500, can we give Megan a point if it goes over 500?
Probably.
There you go. Yeah, that she gets to play for that one only. That's great.
Yeah.
But I also did want to revisit real quick. Speaking of New Year's, the resolution stuff we talked. I know you don't do resolutions because you are a project in ultimate refinement over your life, and you take your resolutions as they come throughout the year, which we've addressed already. But I did think as I listened back, this is the second one I was really annoyed listening back. I'm like, I interrupt you all the time. I think you start talking, and then in my mind I formulate what I'm going to say. This is pretty normal for a lot of people. And then before you're done, I'm just jumping in and going to, yeah, I don't even know if you're done talking yet, but I just kind of hijack the point and go on. So that's something I'm resolute to fix in 2026.
Appreciate that. I
Anyway,
honestly
but
don't
what we're
even
going to
notice
talk
it
about
all
the
that
next
much.
thing.
Yeah, exactly. I knew you were going to jump in on that. So,
It wasn't even January 9th and I already busted it. So
I know.
no, anyway, yeah.
You're already quitting.
Yeah.
Well, man, I have to tell you too, one last thing before we get into the rest of the show here is I think we're going to have to change the picture icon of the podcast now that we are both wearing glasses.
Nerd.
Just another piece of evidence that I'm getting a little bit older. That and the fact that staring at 3 screens all day long has really had an effect on my eyes. So
For listeners that follow us on social media and watch the reels, you'll notice a big difference from Omen. Yeah, he's wearing glasses now, so he's no longer staring cross-eyed at the screen trying to decipher what he wrote in the script anymore. He's
right.
yeah, with clear eyes, clear conscience, going into a new year. Yeah, well, we got to update the image for sure.
Well, hey, let's stop talking about all the things we got wrong in 2025 moving into 26 and start getting into the rest of our show. This show, the very first one of 2026, we're going to have a look at some of the new limits, the contribution limits to workplace plans and retirement plans, your individual retirement plans as well. But before we do that, let's get into this week's headline. For this week's headline, we are starting off the new year with I don't know if this is a great article to start off with, but we're going to go with it anyway.
So much fun.
Wage garnishment for student loans starts in January. 5 things borrowers should do. This is a Forbes article by Adam Minsky. And yeah, this is, I don't know, Rob, I really was hesitant, but I think it's something that people should know, particularly those with student loans, with outstanding student loan debt, and those who might be in default with their student loans. Like, this is something that you should definitely pay attention to, because your wages, maybe your expected tax refund might be coming up a little bit short, and you might not know why. Well, this could be why, is the government has started to step in and get their money back for your student loans. So the article starts out, as initially reported by the Washington Post and other media outlets earlier this week, the Education Department plans on initiating wage garnishment proceedings against borrowers in default of their federal loans, student loans, I should say, starting in January. Rob, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to push back on your initial thought that you hesitated, or you thought maybe twice about putting this in the script. I think this is fantastic, because the only thing that's going to solve this problem as we get into it, and I think what we're going to get around to at the very end, is like, you got to take action. You have to look at it. It's what we talk about with your finances or anything else or any other problem in your life. Look at it first and take action. So that's what this is. I'm glad you put this in here to message that. But yeah, as far as the subject itself, I mean, what a downer, right? I mean, college debt in itself, to quote, a Christmas movie, and I'm clinging on to the Christmas, even though we got to let it go. But to quote one is college debt. That's the gift that keeps on taking the whole year. And it is probably going to take, if you're in default, like he says, not to make too light of it, if you're in default, yeah, you have some trouble ahead. You mentioned they can garnish your wages, that's the initial plan or potential tax refund. So that's what we're trying to avoid. If you're in default or you're nearing default or you sense trouble ahead, that's what this is about.
Yeah. So let's define default for the government anyway. They consider you're behind by 270 days. So 3/4 of the year, you are behind on your payments. That is 3/4 of the year, right? Did I get that right? I think so. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it's close enough.
somewhere there, close enough. All right. So if you're behind that far on your student loan payments, there are a couple things you can do. And the very first one is, and this article lists these things out, but first and foremost, go get help.
Yeah.
Rob, I wanted to forecast an episode that we're going to be doing here really shortly with Lacey Langford. Like, I can't wait to have her on the show.
Yeah.
But like, I know in this profession of helping others, and particularly helping those in the military, we have the worst problem with, we're willing to help everybody else, but when it comes time for us to request help from somebody else, I don't know, we can't do that. Like, No, seriously, if you are behind on your student loan payments, find somebody. Like reach out to us, reach out to Lacey, reach out to your financial counselor on base. Like there are a number of people who are willing to step in and just provide you some ears to hear first and foremost, but also some guidance on how to move forward.
Amen. I have nothing else to add to that. Yeah, please reach out for help. I know we have the MFAA ad that we read in the podcast, but yeah, any one of us happy to help you. If we can't, if our services are kind of too broad or too big for what you're looking for, obviously we have people we refer to and help you out. We're looking to help too. So reach out to us. You're, like you say, personal, the PFC on base, anybody like that, and that gets you started off on the right path. The other thing you should do first and foremost, and just for everybody, is update your contact info with your loan service provider and at studentaid.gov or directly with the student loan provider or whatever. Just make sure they have your contact info, because the first step before your wages or your taxes get garnished is they're going to send you notice. They have to send you a written notice. I believe it's like 30 days or something before that starts. So you're going to get a written notice, and they're just going to send it to whatever address they have on file. So if it's not the right one, they've sent it, it's considered delivered. So if you don't get it, that's on you because they don't have the correct contact info.
Second step that the article actually lists out here is to get yourself back under that 270 days of default. So either one, you can start to make payments, but if that is a difficult thing to do based on what your income is at this point in time, perhaps apply for an income-driven repayment plan. All of this can be done through either one, your loan servicer. If you're going to start making your payments, clearly do that through your loan servicer. But also go to studentaid.gov. That website is actually really helpful for learning about all of these different paths to repayment, to include the application for the income-driven repayment plan.
Correct. Yeah, the IDR, get one of those in place. Another surprising thing that's just happened recently also is for PSLF people, the public student loan forgiveness, which, if you're in the military, that qualifies, is the possibility of a consolidation. Now, a consolidation would help anybody in this situation, because if you consolidate your loans into one loan, it kind of restarts the clock on this 270 days it takes to default on the loan. Well, before 2024, if you did a consolidation and you were on the PSLF, that you lost all of your qualifying payments. So if you were, let's say you were 50 payments into the 120 payment requirement and you did a consolidation, it went away. That was true. Now, up after July 1, 2024, you can actually consolidate into a direct consolidation loan, and you will not lose all of your qualifying payments for the PSLF. I'm not going to get in the math. You're not going to get the exact number. Like if you have two different types of loans and you've made two different sets of payments for those loans that are being consolidated, they do a weighted average. So if you have a bigger loan that you have 60 payments towards and a smaller one that you have 20, then you might end up with 50, carrying forward towards your PSLF required 120 payments. So that's an option even if you're under the public service loan forgiveness plan.
It's probably worth noting too that if you are in the military, you are eligible for PSLF.
Yeah.
The Army actually offers some additional student loan forgiveness benefits that are different than public service loan forgiveness, right? So if you have done your time, like 10 years in the military, and those loans, your student loans are kind of hanging around for that entire time, definitely speak with somebody, because we can set you up for how to apply for public service loan forgiveness against your years of military service. The key difference in what the Army will do for you versus what PSLF will do for you is that the Army forgiveness is considered a taxable event, where the PSLF is not a taxable event for that forgiveness.
Yeah.
That's a pretty key consideration.
Yeah, just one little note. It's funny. There's a standard repayment. It's like a 10-year repayment. I don't know what that one's called. I don't remember. But there is a standard 10-year repayment. Just if you qualify for the PSLF, maybe avoid that one. Go with the IDR. It's going to expand it longer. I actually took out a few student loans recently for the CFP education, and I was trying to get a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't have qualified for the PSLF anyway, but I thought it interesting that the IDR was much shorter. So even if I had, then I wouldn't have even benefited from it. So if you have those two options and you could stretch it longer than 10 years and you got the PSLF, then that's what you probably want to go with.
Yeah. So under some IDR plans, like you can actually stretch out that forgiveness to 20 or I think it's 25
It's
years now.
2025.
So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So the point is there are multiple ways to kind of take care of this problem. And so speaking with somebody with expertise in student loan forgiveness and payoff is pretty key in your success in getting the student loans off your back for sure. All right, let's get into the last two recommendations in the article. This one is pretty key for those who already have their 100% disability rating from the VA. And I don't say that as in assume that you're going to get 100% permanent and total from the VA. I just say if you have been rated at 100% total and permanent, this one is for you. You get a one-time discharge of your student loans through what's called the T&PD program of the studentaid.gov. Mm-hmm. So if you go onto that website, this actually exists on the website. Your student loan servicer actually maintains a relationship with the VA, and so they know that you have been rated this. There are some strategies to repayment. So if you're still in school, still taking on loans, you probably don't want to do a immediate discharge of those loans, like wait. And you can tell studentaid.gov to wait. You can defer this discharge until you're done taking the loans. But you are allowed this one-time discharge of the loans as somebody rated 100% total and permanent. This is also a tax-free discharge. Mm-hmm. That's key, and that was just extended through our OTRIP-B back in July. So make sure that you're staying on top of this, or if you're expecting to be 100%, you're kind of staying on top of this as an option amongst your options in student loans. Well, the last option mentioned in the article is a loan rehab or consolidation loan. I would definitely leave this as kind of a last resort because it doesn't necessarily solve the issue, right? You're basically taking a new loan to pay off the old loan to reset the default period, but the loan still exists. It's still there that you still have to take care of it. And so I would rather walk through all of the other elements, all the other recommendations first before we move into this taking a new loan under conditions at which you're a little bit more, I'm going to call it desperate, but like time is not on your side. And so you'd be willing to maybe take a new loan at less than ideal conditions to pay off the old loan or old loans. So I'm not as big a fan of this one. I think I would just reserve this one way, way, way back in the back pocket. But yeah, that's pretty much how this article wraps it up. So we spent quite a bit of time on student loans and how to, how not only being in default could affect you, but also some ways to get out of student loans. I mean, how would you wrap this up, Rob?
Yeah, I think first visit the article. I'll link it in the show notes, so it'll be there. You can go read it yourself. But I think the overall message in all of this we just talked about is the fact, take action. Like, look at it, try to know your circumstances and what you can and can't afford. I mean, call them. Like, get in contact with them. As you read the article, there's a lot of other nuggets in here about asking them for deferrals and extra forbearances and tell them your situation, and there's appeals and other documents you can, create, have your evidence, like show your bills, like whatever, get all that in place, give them a call. This is just like any other type of debt owner that is going to try to work with you a little bit because it's in their best interest that you pay them back. Okay. And one last thing before we move into the meat of the show, this is going long, that's okay. I'm going to do my best to avoid the soapbox. I've got a kick to the corner of the room, but I just want to remind everybody, and this is more to the parents of kids that are getting ready to go to college. Personally, I don't understand the mentality of a student loan is any different than any other debt we agree to pay off. So the student loans are unique in such a way, as I perceive it, that people go to school and they take out student loans. The government offers these student loans. And of course, the colleges and universities are going to increase their fees to kind of envelop those extra available funds that the government is providing is kind of the way this goes. But at the end of the day, it's you signing the line. It's the student signing the line. And for some reason, after people get out of school and the student loan servicer or the government says, hey, it's time to start paying back this loan. It's like, well, what? Like, how do I get out of this? Like, the mentality is so strange to me that people are just like, well, okay, well, now I have to figure out a way to not pay this back. I I mean, these are great programs, and PSLF for military is wonderful. But you should never go into school and take out any debt, car, mortgage, anything that you don't intend on paying back. So that should be kind of set your mentality from the jump, from as you're signing these documents. And if you can't do it, or it's going to be a hardship on you to pay these back over time, then we need to start reevaluating your college goal entirely, right?
Yeah.
So just one thing to keep in mind. Again, that's for parents of children that are getting ready to go to college.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. And there are other ways to pay for school. I mean, right? Like going into the military is a great way to actually pay for school with your GI Bill.
Yeah.
So plus amongst a few other things the military is really good at. So no, it's a great point to do a little bit of pre-planning and not sign up for things that you really just don't understand. I agree with you that some people have a difficult time equating the amount of student loan debt to that of a home mortgage in some cases. Yeah. And it can absolutely ruin somebody before they even get started with their life.
Yeah. You know what the biggest difference between a student loan and a mortgage is?
That
mortgage only lasts 30 years.
I don't even think we want to put a in there because that's not funny. That's true.
It's so true. It's funny because it's true.
That is so true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap up our new segment and head into what people actually really care about. And that's the new limits set by the IRS this year. This week's episode, we focus on the new limits, new year, new limits. That is the IRS limits that have been set for your retirement accounts, both at the workplace and in your individual accounts. So on this episode, it doesn't seem like that would be too difficult to actually get into. But Rob, I know we've talked about this at length, but there is often quite a bit of confusion about not only the limits for each plan, but how those plans kind of work with each other. Like, why would you save into one versus save into the other? Can you do both at the same time? How do conversions work? And all these other little nuances of retirement plans that we're going to actually spend some time going into in this episode. So I'm actually really excited about this one.
Yeah, exactly. We could do the limits in 2 minutes and be done with the episode. But I think what you're referring to is the fact that we can use this as an opportunity to do some more education, because anytime we bring up anything financially, there's always going to be these like many sub layers of information that we should talk about. We have to kind of fight that urge sometimes. So now I think you've done a really good job. Let's do retirement plans, that are employer based, TSP, et cetera, and IRAs that are kind of your own personal retirement accounts, how they work together. And even with this, like, we're just going to be kind of scratching the surface with just important stuff you have to know. But that's why disclaimers exist. Like, we're not going to talk about everything. There are devils in the details, but we're going to try to hit as much as we can.
Yeah. So for this first one, like you said, we're going to spend about 2 minutes or so talking about the numbers of the various plans. But first, I fully expect a nerd alert sound put into this episode, Rob.
Fair enough.
Make sure we get a nerd alert here.
Okay.
All right. As I push up the bridge of my glasses on my nose,
Nerd alert!
which are wrapped with tape. Just kidding. They're not wrapped with tape. All right. One of the terms you're going to hear us talk about is deferrals and contributions. This is super, super nuanced and detailed, but it's in my vocab. So I want to talk about it now so that when you hear it throughout the rest of the episode, it doesn't confuse you. When I'm talking about deferrals, Rob, I'm talking about the amount of money that you defer from your paycheck into a workplace plan. If I'm talking about a contribution, I'm talking about money that has hit my bank account, and now I have decided that I'm going to contribute that money to an IRA. So the difference between a deferral and a contribution.
So both of them are contributions.
Dude.
No, it's good to know, because technically they can be used in that way. But yeah, both of them are still money coming out of what's yours and going into your retirement account. So if it's a deferral, it's coming out of your paycheck, you're still contributing to your retirement account, or it's an IRA, of course, it's a direct contribution. I always get hung up on this too, because the deferral, we talk about a deferral, to me, it almost pushes us towards deferred comp, which is another type of retirement plan, which is completely unrelated to this, which, we could talk about another time. So I think that's a good distinction. So we're talking deferrals. For this episode, we're talking about money coming out of your paycheck to your 401k, 403b, TSP. we're talking contributions as contributions to an IRA. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right.
Still wrong, but yeah,
and I just can't help. I can't help myself, right? Like, yeah. I mean, I come from a community of communicators to other people over the radio, and it's been just drilled into me over many, many decades of words mean things.
Humble brag.
So get it right.
Humble brag.
That's it.
Yeah. All right. Let's go
so
numbers.
Let's get into it. All right. So workplace elective deferrals for 2026. Now we're talking about workplace plans, your 401k, 403b, your TSP account. If you have a 457b, those are the kinds of plans that we're talking about. $24,500.
Yep.
$24,500. We're going to avoid our 2025 numbers, just not to confuse people here. So that's the limit that you can defer into a workplace plan in 2026.
Yep. Good job.
What can you do above that, Rob?
Correct. All right, I'll jump in then. Catch up. If there's extra deferrals that you can make into these plans, if you're a certain age 50 and above, so it starts at age 50 and above, is an extra $8,000 into your catch up. So that adds on top of the 24,000. So calculator, that's 32,500. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, good. 32,500. And then a higher catch up between 60 and 63 if the plan allows.
The magic catch up.
The
special catch up.
It's cool. Great. You're already past the age where you could be taking money out of your retirement plan and you're still putting it in. If you're still working, I guess it makes sense. An additional 11,250, which is like, okay, great. It's almost as good as putting it into a savings account, but it's available to you.
We should probably clarify that you can't do both at the same time. You can't do the catch up and the special catch up at the same time. It's the one at a time.
Did I say it like it was piled on top of each other?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I mean, it's just one of the things that people have asked. Like, can I do both catch ups if I'm 60 or 61 years old? Can I do both of them? Like, no, you can only do one.
This episode is brought to you by the Military Financial Advisors Association.
MFAA is a global network of independent, fee-only fiduciary financial advisors who specialize in serving military families.
And we're not just highlighting it. Omen and I are members ourselves, so we know firsthand what they stand for.
That's right. Every member of MFAA is either active duty, a veteran, or a military spouse, so they truly understand the unique financial challenges that come with military life.
Plus, every advisor must hold or be actively pursuing the CFP designation, which is the gold standard in financial planning.
So let's put that together. When you choose an advisor with MFAA, you are getting a professional who won't sell you a product, who knows the military life, and will plan using your hard-earned military benefits.
Whether you're navigating a step out of the military after 4 years, a military retirement, or a transition into a work-optional lifestyle, MFAA advisors speak your language.
Visit militaryfinancialadvisors.org to find an advisor who fits your mission.
MFAA, real advice, real experience.
This advertisement is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, or tax advice. All investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. Information and opinions provided within the fiscal foxhole do not necessarily reflect official positions or opinions of the Military Financial Advisors Association or its members. Consult a qualified financial professional before making any financial decisions.
One interesting thing about 2026 with these catch-ups, while we're talking about it, is there's a new wrinkle for people that are making over $150,000 of FICA wages. So it's important to it's a FICA wage. Real quick, like FICA wages are only reduced by like health plan saving, like HSA contributions that are direct from your, deferred from your, which doesn't apply to military. Your health plan doesn't apply to military. So your FICA wages is for military is basically your gross wages, assuming there's no combat zone. So anyway, if you're making over 150K and you're doing this catch up, then now all of the catch up has to go into Roth, which is interesting. So, you have to, that means you end up paying the taxes on it, but it goes into a Roth account. It's still tax free when you pull it out under qualifying terms. But just another one note for 2026 that's new.
Yeah, that is interesting. And if you are deferring that much money from your income, it's highly likely that your FICA wages are well over 150,000.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah. I'm just maybe.
Hey, there's some super savers out there that get paid less. I mean, if you're looking for it, then this is a way to do it. Sure.
Yeah, and it's the same way as you just framed to the fact that you're kind of forced into the Roth. It's not ideal. I could think of worse things, but it's not ideal because you're probably in a higher marginal tax bracket. So your effective taxes at this point are probably more geared towards tax deferred. But
Yeah.
like I said, I could think of worse things.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, it's still an option, which is nice, but it's kind of crummy. They've removed that option to put it into the tax deferred side, but it's still better than nothing.
let's talk about the total annual additions limit, because I think people, they think about how much I can actually defer into my 401k as that 24,500 number. But then you throw out a number like the annual additions limit of 72,000. You're like, well, what's 72,000? What does the annual additions limit even mean?
It means the amount that you put in versus the amount your employer puts in. So any automatic matching, like the 1% for blended retirement system, plus the contributions you get from them with matching up to 5%, et cetera, that counts. So an employer, a very generous employer, could completely fill up that 72,000 on top of whatever you put in. But the point is, whatever you put in, not counting the catch-up is an addition to this. So it's like your standard 24/5 plus your employer contributions. It can only go up to 72,000 and that's it. The key to this is, it's huge for one job, but let's say you have two jobs they're both 401k. Then you have to remember this because it's the aggregate of all of it. Like if you had two jobs, you can only have up to $72,000 into one of these plans for the year combined amongst all your jobs. You have to be careful and just make sure you don't eclipse that amount. Now that's a civilian problem for people with 401ks, et cetera. But all right, if you're in the military, how does this apply to you? Well, you can do the 24/5, which a lot of military folks do that are high savers. Now, if you're in a combat zone, you can actually use the unused part of the employer, which is the government, right? Their side of the contribution. So let's say you do the 24/5 and you've got the BRS, they're doing their match. Now, there's unused benefit of probably about 40 grand or so that you could, now you can contribute that in a combat zone. You can go all the way up to the 72 if you want. That's not under normal circumstances. You can't do it, but that's a combat zone feature. And now sliding back to the civilian side, once again, the 72,000 comes into play, what's called a mega backdoor Roth. I don't want to get too much into the details with that. It is an option for some employers, like you mentioned, Amazon does it. Has that option. I believe one of the airlines does it as well. Anyway, these are usually more like established bigger employers. They can do this, but it doesn't apply to the TSP. So no military or government mega backdoor Roth. But if you're looking for ways to fill up the 72,000 and your company allows it, look up mega backdoor Roth. It's a pretty decent tactic.
I did a little bit of planning for an Amazon client who is a retired 06. And that worked out quite well to do a mega backdoor Roth. Pretty sweet. That's the only one I've ever seen, but
pretty high income.
I haven't seen anything.
It's for high income.
Pretty high income.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about IRA contributions. These are a little bit easier to understand. So if you have an IRA, traditional or Roth, does not matter, for 2026, you can contribute up to $7,500. And if you are age 50 or above, you can contribute an additional $1,100. And this assumes that you have an income like an earned income to actually contribute. So you can contribute to the IRAs either up to the maximum contribution limits or your earned income, whatever amount is lower.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to talk about spousal IRAs here later on. But so you or your spouse has to have the earned income to cover what you're going to contribute to the IRA, and then their income limits. So if you want to do just the regular traditional IRA or the Roth IRA contribution, you have to have, there's qualifying income limits that are kind of right around the middle income range for middle class. Yeah, but good news, there's options for, after-tax contributions if you're over that wage limit, and backdoor Roth contributions. So there are other options, but wage limits apply.
All right, so let's move into aggregation limits and the fact that some accounts are actually aggregated in their limits. So we have quite a few accounts at our disposal. Sometimes you might be eligible for more than one account. Clearly, you can have your workplace plan. If you're in the military, you've got your TSP.
Yep.
You also have access to an IRA if you establish an IRA. But how do these accounts work in terms of contributions to your IRA, deferrals to your TSP, and can you do both at the same time? What if you're a reservist and you have the TSP and you have a workplace 401k? Like, how does this all work together? So let's talk through this a little bit, Rob.
Okay. Yeah, I know I kind of teased this earlier and spoiled the fun. Apologies. But the bottom line is that annual additions limit of $72,000 applies to all of these employer-sponsored plans. There is one exception, that's the 457, which we did include, we listed as far as one of the employer plans, but since it is not a qualified account, it exists outside of that annual additions limit. So this is a problem if you, like you said, you have the TSP for a reservist and they have a 401k or two 401ks or 401k, 403b or whatever. Just be mindful. You have to remember your limit of 24.5 and the annual additions limit of 72,000 apply to all of those accounts combined. And it's on you to make sure you're underneath those limits.
Yeah, I think we can actually dig into the strategy here just a little bit more. It's actually, I would consider this more tactics, right? So if you're in BRS and you're getting a governmental match and you're in a civilian job and you're also getting a company match in your 401k, you have to be mindful of that 24,500 limit in terms of what you put away each month in order to achieve the aggregate of 24,500 each month and still maximize your match in BRS and in your workplace plan, because there is the potential that you might come up to September or October and suddenly realize like, oh man, I'm at that 24,500 limit and I can't contribute anymore, which means that the government isn't going to match money that I'm not deferring in the months of October, November, and December. So there is a little bit of strategy here to think through when you have access to multiple plans.
That's danger. I think the danger before that danger is the fact that normally if you hit this limit of 24.5, your company's going to cut you off. The TSP won't allow you to do anymore. If you have two 401ks or a TSP and a 401k, they don't know what you're doing with the other plan. So the thing that is assumed with that warning that you just gave is that you're tracking it. So
you're tracking it.
You have to track, because the TSP is going to be like, hey buddy, you had 17,000 you gave to your 401k of this other job that we have no idea about, or maybe know, but we don't know how much you're giving. They're not going to track it and then cut you off. So you have to be mindful, because this could be a mess at the end of the year if you've contributed too much.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine having to go through DFAS and ask them to take money out? Or I guess it wouldn't be DFAS, but it would be TSP and DFAS. Yeah. I've not had to actually go through this with a client yet, but I'm assuming this would not be fun.
No, it would not. Anyway, get back to the 457 separate. So that's a warning for, regular TSP, 403B, 401k, et cetera. The 457 is separate because it's not qualified. So that has its own set of limits, correct?
Right. It has its own limits that are exactly identical to the limits of a 401k, TSP, 403b, but it's not included in the aggregate amount. There's some really cool things about the 457. So if you do have access to this plan, like don't just stiff arm this plan. The 457 actually, if you are thinking about the fire community, is one of the key retirement accounts that people consider in the fire community, mainly because you can begin to take withdrawals from a 457 before 59.5. That's one of the key components to a 457 plan. So, but if you happen to have a 457 combined with TSP, you can do both.
Yep.
You don't have to watch that 24,500 limit.
Yeah. New goal for 2026, 144 grand between your 457, TSP, 401k, and 403b accounts. Piece of cake.
Why live today when you can live 100 years from now?
What does he say about giving with a cold hand? That's got that written all over it. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. All right, Rob, let's talk about IRAs now, how they aggregate. This one's a little easier because there's no exceptions to this. This is per name, per year. It doesn't matter if it's Roth or traditional. You can do a combination of both. You can do all one, do all the other. But either way, you can only contribute, I should say, into your own Roth and or traditional IRA to the maximum annual limit.
Yeah, which once again, 7,500 with the additional of 1,100 of age over 50 and above.
All right, Rob, let's talk about over contributions real quick here. So workplace plans usually don't allow it. Like you already mentioned, the TSP will cut you off if you have already contributed the 24,500. The gotcha here is if you have multiple plans, you have to do that.
Yep.
You have to know when to cut off your own plans so that you don't over contribute. So if you happen to over contribute to these plans, then you have to do the coordination with TSP, with DFAST to make sure that you stop contributing, for one, like stop digging yourself a hole. But number two, you have to get out not only the deferrals, but you have to get any of the earnings out of there as well. And what a pain.
Yeah,
so really, really try to avoid this. Okay.
Yeah.
What about with IRAs, Rob?
Well, go back with 401k, TSP, 403b. If you are over contributing and know that it'll cut off in, let's say, September, October, like I know some folks that do this intentionally, they max it out so it drops off their deferral and gets back in their paycheck for, October, November, December at the end of the year. If you get a match from your employer, just call them, go to your HR, just make sure they have what's called a true up provision in their plan that's included. True up. It's really important because if you're getting match and they don't have a true up provision in their plan and your contributions drop off in September, well, guess what else drops off? The employer match. Now, there are some companies, if they have the true up, it'll allow you to get up that 24.5 by, August, September. It will cut you off. You will stop. But by the end of the year, the company will still honor the matching percentage that you are owed by the end of the year. So as long as you have that, you can go ahead and do it early if you like. The TSP does not have a true up, by the way.
Of course not.
Yeah, of course not. Now, to the IRA excess, it's a pain. Right? Again, if you just, we can't warn you enough. You go over this, it's just a mess to get it done. I'm going to read here. IRA will allow it an over contribution because it is not tracking. Again, it's your separate IRA account, so it doesn't know if you have other accounts or whatever. So technically it'll allow it. But if you fail to remove that excess of contribution by the filing deadline plus the extensions of the following year, you get penalized 6% of the excess and its growth every year until it's removed. So again, it's the excess you've contributed and the growth on that. It's messy. You don't want to do this. I mean, a tax pro, one of us can help you, but it is not fun.
So bottom line, just track your deferrals, track your contributions, make sure you're not, you can get close to the limits, but don't go over the
why
limits.
play with danger?
That's right. Rob, is a conversion considered a contribution towards the limits?
No, it is not. You can convert as much as you want every single year. It doesn't count. So if you do a $100,000 Roth conversion in your IRA, first of all, good for you. But if you do that in 1 year, you can still contribute up to the 7,500. It does not count towards your limit for the year.
I mean, it will certainly have an effect on your taxes.
Oh yeah,
but it does not have an effect on the limits of contribution each year.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into the pros and cons of each, kind of the IRAs and the workplace plans, because I know that there's some confusion here of like, well, what's better? Do I contribute to my workplace plan or do I contribute to, I even said it. Oh man, do I defer to my workplace plan? Do I contribute to my IRA? Get the words right.
Got him.
All right, so let's go into IRA because this is probably your easier one with the pros and cons here.
Yeah. Why don't you do the pros?
IRAs,
Why don't you do the pros of these and
Okay.
I'll do the cons? I'm feeling cynical today, so let me be snarky and I'll do the cons.
Today? Cynical just today?
Again today.
Pretty sure it's all day.
Once again.
Every day.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, the pros for IRAs is, I think, first and foremost is control. You have control over the money. You have control over how it's invested. If you for some reason, need the money, you have easier access to that money before you turn 59 and a half. There are penalties and taxes that come with that, but you ultimately have control. And in IRAs, you also have access to a lot more investment options typically than you would in a workplace plan. The last thing here is contributions. So opposite of a workplace plan, you're able to actually contribute. So even for this year, well, we're in 2026, all the way through the filing deadline of April 15th, I can contribute to my 2025 IRA to true it up, if you will. So just for reference here, 2025 limits for an IRA is $7,000 with a $1,000 catch up. I've got a couple of different clients who were just kind of waiting to see what their income was in 2025 in order to decide if they're doing a backdoor Roth or not. And so we can do that, right? We can wait until January and we can make a contribution to the 2025 IRA, do our Roth conversion, and now we're cooking with oil. So like these are some of the benefits to having an IRA.
It's a really nice one. I like the last one, especially because you can look back and make a really great decision. You can stack it away in your brokerage account or high yield savings in the meantime, and make sure you're doing the right thing come April 15th or by April 15th, I should say. All right, moving to the cons real quick. Like we said, there's a lower limit to how much you can contribute. There's also the limits, income limits, right? So, if you make too much, you can't do just the standard traditional contribution or Roth contribution to an IRA. You have to kind of do these unique kind of after tax to traditional or Roth conversions at the same time. You can't take loans from your IRA. It's another con, although you do have access to the Roth contributions, not the growth or contributions at any time. So you can kind of treat that as a bonus emergency fund or, money that you could get to if you really need to, although obviously not recommended. And then, the thing that bothers me and I don't understand is what's up with the wage limits with Roth IRA? I'm going to say this every time we bring it up. Like, I just don't get it. Like, why does the government care?
I don't get it.
Yeah. If you want to pay taxes, if you earn $350,000, do you want to pay taxes on Roth IRA contributions? Like, why do they care? But yeah, wage limits apply.
They make the backdoor Roth feel like messy, like illegal, but it's not. Like it's literally written into the IRS code. Right. But
just let people do it.
They make it feel like bad.
And like, why? Just let everyone do it. Anyway, sorry, soapbox. I thought I kicked it over the corner of the room, but here I am. All right.
No, you didn't. Nope, you grabbed it again. All right, here we go.
Workplace plan.
Pros of a workplace plan. So clearly, it's got to be the higher deferral limit is really the biggest pro. Like you're limited to the $7,500 limit, $8,650 and above for an IRA, but you get $24,500 in a workplace plan plus another $8,000 catch up. So that is clearly a benefit to the workplace plan. Plus, you're not going to get matches in your IRA, but you definitely can get some matches in your TSP, particularly if you're in a BRS or if you have a workplace plan that also provides you matches. So that is a pro. Usually workplace plans are simpler to manage. So where I said in an IRA, you've got access to all kinds of investments. Sometimes that can be a little bit overwhelming for people, but like in the TSP where you have 5 core funds and you're just trying to passively track the market, like that's pretty easy to do in the CS&I fund or GNF. Like no recommendations there, but like you only have 5 funds to choose from. That's easy. And lastly, with the TSP and other workplace plans, there are loan options. So if you do need to take a retirement plan loan, you can do that from a workplace plan.
Yeah. One more, just no income restrictions, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one more pro. Sorry to steal that from you. But no income, you can earn a ton of money and contribute to your workplace 401k, TSP, et cetera. Moving to the cons, there are cons. I don't feel strongly about these though, because if you get a workplace plan and you're getting matching, especially by all means, like don't let cons. It's like, oh, I'm not going to do it because I have fewer investment options. Like take the match, like do the right thing and like contribute to your 401k, get the match. But there are some kind of drawbacks. There's less control, i.e. there's a middleman. Usually there's a manager between you and the 401k. Now you can tell the manager what to do. Yeah, you can tell them what to invest in or whatever, but there's a middle person kind of like plan admin is what they call, right? That they kind of have to do it. TSP is more direct. Like you don't have to deal with it. You can actually go in and make changes. A lot of 401k plans are the same, but there's still a plan admin kind of in charge of the overall thing. There's typically fewer investment options that's agreed upon by the plan admin, agrees on what options you'll have to invest in. Potential higher admin costs. Again, please don't let that discourage you, especially if you're getting matching. And then potential vesting, you might have to wait until the employer contributions are available to you. Typically not a terribly long time. Your contributions are always vested. Your deferrals are always
That's right. Deferrals.
Okay. Yep. Deferrals. And then finally, there's deferral from income. You have to do some math, like to figure out, like, make sure you're deferring the right amount, like I said, up to the limit, et cetera, true up, all those things. That's actually, I think, one of the pros at the same time. It's coming straight out of your paycheck. Like, you don't have to receive it and get your checking account and then pay out of pocket. That's going to feel a lot different. This is just done for
it's
you.
Automatic.
Yeah. You don't even feel it. So that's the limit to the cons. So definitely a good plan.
All right, let's do this and kind of run through these last little gotchas here, order operations and gotchas relatively quickly here. So broad order of operations, because we get asked this quite often, is like, well, what do I do? Workplace, IRA, what? I think both you and I agree on this, Rob. The very first thing is, if your workplace offers you a match, contribute to the workplace plan first, up to the match. Yep. Get the match. It is a dollar for dollar. Well, in most cases, I should say, it's 100% return on investment. AKA you cannot get that from the market.
Free money. Yep.
Do that. That's right. Do that. All right. So once you get that match, then steer towards your IRA and fill up your IRA. If you're married, and you mentioned this earlier, Rob, spousal IRAs too. We can't forget about spousal IRAs. They're not its own IRA. It's just an IRA. Right. We call it a spousal IRA because a lot of spouses think, well, I don't work outside the home. I don't have W-2 income. And so therefore I can't contribute to my IRA. Yes, you can. If you are married and your spouse has a W-2 income that is above double the limit. So in this case, it would be $7,500 plus another $7,500, $15,000. You can contribute to both IRAs. And now all of a sudden you have your IRA funded. So do that. All right. And then lastly, go back to, if you still have more money to save in your retirement plans, go back to your workplace plan and start filling that back up again. Yeah. Anything I'm missing there,
Yeah.
Rob?
Be careful. If you're someone that can't, you're not disciplined enough to make those automatic contributions to the IRA. Like, it's coming to your checking account. It sucks to see that money go out to your IRA and you're tempted to keep that for yourself. Then maybe just stick to your employer plan, because that's better, behavioral wise. And the other note to this is, this order of operations we're only talking about workplace plans and IRAs. We're not talking about other buckets such as your emergency fund, HSAs, et cetera. We had a whole nother episode. Did we include all that stuff in the podcast episode that we had, order of operations?
I think we did, yeah.
I have another one, article too, I can link, the savings cascade, which kind of outlines that. But this is just IRA and workplace retirement plans. What episode was that?
I think that was episode 1. We talked through that.
Yeah, I think so. Wow. Way back in the beginning.
Long time ago.
So long
all the way back in October. All right. Last bit, here's some of the gotchas. And I had to include this because I've run across this a couple of times now, and that's tax reporting. When you do your own taxes, and I think the people that we talk to on this podcast are mainly doing their own taxes, and you get asked the question, did you contribute any money to your IRA this year? Just remember, in this episode, we talked about the differences between an IRA and a workplace plan, 401k, or TSP. They are different things. So if you did not actually contribute money to an IRA, don't consider your contributions to your TSP or 401k as contributions to your IRA. It's two separate things, and it's reported differently on your W-2 that you get from your workplace plan versus any kind of document that you might receive from your custodian. That's the word I was looking for, from your custodian.
Yeah, no shame if you don't know that difference. Yeah, just remember from now on, I can't tell you how many times a prospect has told me they have an IRA in their 401k. It's not uncommon to kind of mix these up, or just not even understand what they are to begin with. So please, just throw your pride to the side, ask questions, email us, and we can talk to you, help you out too.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about the email in a long time, but you can always email us at fiscalfoxhole@gmail.com. Ask your questions there. Happy to put them on the show.
Great.
All right, Rob, that wraps it up for our main segment here on the differences between 401ks, workplace plans, and your IRAs, and the limits there and some of the gotchas. Let's move into the trivia segment. We are doing things a little bit differently here in 2026. Number one, I think I need to point out who won in 2025.
I've forgotten already. Who was it?
Oh, wait, I can just show you who won. Oh, this is a podcast. For those of you who can't see me on social media, I'm pointing to the trophy that I have here in my background.
Giant
trivia
trophy, giant 4-inch trophy. No other jokes to be made about that. No jokes. Congratulations on your the massive prize there. I hope you enjoy it for the next 365 days.
It looks
and
good.
Only 365 days only.
Okay, fine, whatever. We'll see. All right, but you're not going to know unless you pay attention and subscribe to the show, because we're going to do things a little bit differently this year. We're going to have our trivia challenge. Of course, we're going to keep this up, but I am not going to keep up with, at least publicly anyway, the number of wins either one of us has. And that is intentional. We do plan to reveal at the end of the year, after a little bit of a contest, who has won for the year. But we can also make you a winner too of, I don't know, maybe one of our t-shirts or something like that. So just follow along with the show, give it your best guess at the end of the year, and we'll take it from there.
Awesome. Yeah, well, we can say it. We can say it's 0-0. We can say it's 0-0 now.
It is 0-0.
It's the last update
we know
you get.
It's
0-0. Yeah.
That's right. All right. So, Rob, you are asking the question today. What ridiculous question do you have for me today?
It is relevant and slightly ridiculous in its length. I'm not as bad as the mortgage one I gave you, way back when, but it provides a little bit of inside information. So the question to you, Omen, is: in 2025, about 75% of U.S. civilian workers, full and part-time, had access to a workplace retirement plan. That's including pensions and defined contribution plans. Of those 75% who had access, what percentage of those actually participated in their plan? Is it A, 25%, B, 50%, C, 75%, or D, 85%?
Okay. So I had some thoughts about this question as you were asking it, because I feel like I have read this somewhere recently.
Okay.
And honestly, like, the answer that came to mind when you read the question was somewhere around 37%, 36% participation rate. Like, it was definitely a lot lower than I expected.
So remember, this is what percentage of 75%? So if we take U.S. civilian, it's only civilians, it's not military, etc.
Yeah.
So if you take out the 75%, then what percentage of those folks participate?
Right, it's the 75% who have actual access to it. But I do remember in whatever article it was that I read, that even those with access weren't actually taking advantage of their workplace plan. It was a.
Now this includes.
I don't know where you're getting your.
It includes.
I don't know where you're getting your facts from here. I'm afraid of where this is going, but we'll see here in a second.
Well, I'll give you a little bit more help too. It does include defined benefit and defined contribution plans. So it does include pension, which some people you don't even have to participate, quote unquote. Right. But they're participating. They're getting a defined benefit.
So I feel like in my head I should go low, but I feel like you're leading me to higher.
I'm trying.
So let's see.
New year, new me.
Oh man, I really don't know, but I'm going to go with 50%.
50%. So answer is 50%, B, 50%. It's going to disappoint you to find out it's actually C, 75%. You are incorrect. Yeah, but it's 75% of 75%. So the total number is 56% of folks, civilians, participate in their workplace retirement plan. Yeah, which is, when I was kind of looking this up.
I happen to be wrong in this.
Yeah, that's good. And honestly, when I looked this up, as I was typing it out, I expected it to be lower than that, because you see the reports of the average like 401k IRA balance of people that are age 50 or 55, and the median and or the average. It's always like, oh man, it's such a bummer. It's a pretty low number for, as far as when we're talking about retirement planning. So it was nice to see at least 56% are contributing to the plan they have access to.
Well, Rob, thanks for the question. And that is going to wrap it up for today's episode, the very first episode of 2026 of the Fiscal Foxhole. As always, we hope that you took something away that you can use in your life as you stock away money in your retirement plans. We appreciate you hanging out with us in the trenches. And if you like our show, we'd certainly love it if you either wrote in a review, if you shared it with a friend, if you subscribed, if you did any of the above. We'd love it all. So, Rob, take us out of here.
All right, thanks, Omen. The practical takeaways from today's episode are, number one, student loan wage garnishment restarting in January is a real financial threat for borrowers in default, especially heading into a new year. The good news is that taking action now can help stop the damage before it starts. Run to the sound of gunfire. Takeaway number two, contribution limits set the guardrails, but the real impact comes from knowing how plans aggregate, where matches apply, and how IRAs and workplace plans differ. A smart strategy helps you avoid penalties, capture free money, and deliberately fund the accounts that best fit your situation. And takeaway number three, winging your contributions and taxes without a plan is like calling in a target with a 6-digit grid when you really needed a 10-digit one. Remember, aim small, miss small. You might be in the general area, but the margin for error is expensive and the cleanup is never fun.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have questions you'd like answered on the show, please send us a note to fiscalfoxhole@gmail.com. If you heard something today that you'd like to discuss further, or you just want to dig deeper into your own financial game plan, both Rob and Omen are accepting new clients and always happy to chat. You'll find the links to their websites or to book appointments in the show notes. Rob Moore and Omen Quelvog are both registered investment advisor representatives. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. While they are both advisors, they are not your advisors. Therefore, nothing you hear on Fiscal Foxhole should be taken as specific investment, legal, or tax advice. For guidance tailored to your situation, please consult a qualified professional who understands your individual circumstances.
Welcome to the off-duty segment. So, Rob, I thought for this one, we could reflect a little bit here on the last couple of weeks, where typically I don't know, like for you, I'd assume it'd be somewhat similar, but for me, I just remember somewhere around December 18th, 1920, somewhere in there, like the military just stops.
Yeah.
And you take your bulk leave, 2 weeks, 96. I heard this from a guy at church the other day. He has a 105. I was like, what's a 105? He's like, that's the new number of hours off. I was like, what? I've never even heard of that before. And this is coming from a stance in the military where they were getting ready to get rid of all 96s. And now you've got a 105. I've never even heard of this before.
Does that, coming from, I mean, to be quite honest, like the unit I was a part of my entire career, and I was permanent post I was in the same unit for 23 years. We didn't call it like 96, but does that prevent the service member from having to come in and sign in at some ungodly hour? And it allows you to come in the next one. That's nice. I mean, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love it. Like, and you're doing this around New Year's and Christmas where typically, you've got like 2 or 3 days that you have to decide, do I take leave? Do I have to take leave for the whole 2 weeks because I can't take leave in conjunction with Liberty and all this other thing. That just kind of gets rid of that. So that's nice.
It's just so antiquated. But, like the idea, I'm glad they're doing that because talk about other leave situations, like you're taking leave and like your flight lands at like 9:00. And if you're in one of those units that you have to come in, drive to your unit, and go sign in at the end of your leave. It just, common sense, like we obviously know like the military could use a heavy dose of common sense. That's good that, hey, that's being changed. That's good.
Well, I took that same mindset of like 2 weeks off and before going to the new year to kind of revamp the business practice. Like I had this whole list of things to make my business more efficient. But you undertook something pretty big.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I used the new year as a new refresh to the business. I love the name of my business, Everman Prosperity. And the idea was that's what I'm really selling, right? Prosperity. So that's what I wanted to name. So Everman Prosperity and then financial planning. The problem is I think when people came to me or prospects come to me, they're just a little confused about exactly what I do. Right? It's on my website and it outlines it pretty well, but it's slightly vague. So yeah, I did change, just kept the name Everman Wealth and Prosperity. So I'm doing a DBA and updating all the legal documents for that as well. But I did also refresh the colors because 3 years ago when I picked it and I started building with the brand logos and the website colors and all this stuff, it looked great. But as I build more templates in social media posts and using those same colors, like just disgusting. So I did a completely brand refresh, new logo, obviously with the new name and new colors for the website. And I got new cards coming in the mail. It's exciting. Business cards coming. I think this weekend they should be delivered. So redoing all of it. Yeah.
Did you divert any of those business cards to me that you just?
Oh, good point.
Just sent me business
I did
cards.
just say I got to send you more. So that's put it on my task list. So, but what about you?
That's
so
right.
Right. As you take time to kind of reestablish your processes and get more efficient. So what's on the docket for Forminder?
I think the biggest thing is I wanted to, because I'm flat fee, I don't charge based on the number of assets people have me manage. Usually I just charge from somebody's bank account, right? Like from the cash.
Right.
I've recently come across a way for me to actually bill from investment accounts, which I think is a little bit more appetizing to clients, is if they don't want to pay from the cash flow. So that's been a pretty big business undertaking to change and make sure that the state is good with how I am wording things, that I'm not trying to get one over on clients or anything else like that, that I'm legitimately trying to help clients pay for the services in the way that they want to pay for services. So that's been a interesting process to go through here. I'm still going through it, but that is going to be kind of the big news of things that I'm trying to change.
Wait, you guys are getting paid? Do you know what that's from? Oh, it's a great, it's a good movie. Jason Sudeikis and Jennifer Aniston movie called We're the Millers. Yeah, have you seen that?
I never.
It's really good.
So Jennifer Aniston, I like Jennifer Aniston in Friends, but every movie she's ever done, I've always thought was trash.
Okay.
Like I think she's a terrible movie actor. I don't know why.
Okay. At the risk of moving into the
That's just
PG-13 side of things, you should watch this movie. It's really funny. And there's one particular scene that might bring you back into the fold of it being a Jennifer Aniston fan. I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, earlier in the movie, there's a scene where, because he's a drug smuggler and he's hired this fake family, and he's basically paid Jennifer Aniston to pretend to be his wife and a girl to be his daughter. And then this knucklehead kid that always wants to be around him, he brings along as his son. And there's one part where it reveals that he's paying them. And the meme, it's since become this kind of popular thing, is he discovers, he's like, wait a minute, you guys are getting paid to do this? Like, he's just along for the ride. So couldn't resist. Anytime I hear people like talk about like they're getting paid for something, you guys are getting paid? Yeah. No, that's great.
Other shows that I'm watching.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, have you seen the documentary Elway on Netflix yet?
No, my son watched it. He actually texted me. He's like, hey, because I think it's TVMA, correct?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of language in there, but like it's just the like kind of watching what Elway went through all the way from his high school career, college, all the ups and downs of his career in the NFL, and how, I mean, the impact that it actually had on his family. I don't know, man. Like I felt a lot of comparison to the impact of professional athlete careers on their families as I did with professional military, longtime military veterans and their families, because of the priorities that you kind of have to put above your family when that particular career asks you to do so. Yeah. And there's really no saying no. So like it had a significant impact on his family as well. And you walk through that whole thing with him. Like it was good. That's
really cool. Yeah, I want to watch it. He said it was really good. He's at that age where anything that's TVMA or rated R, he's kind of on the border. So yeah, I just Google like, does have nudity? Because that's my only I'm okay with him with the language. He hears it and he's old enough. So I'm like, I checked, like, nope, yeah, you can watch it. But no, that sounds really cool. I want to watch that one. Reminds me of the 30 for 30 about the draft. You remember with Elway and Marino in the same draft? Yeah. So that's fantastic. So I was going to make sure you've seen that. Sounds like you have. I watched a really brainless movie that's a lot of fun called Nobody 2. Did you watch Nobody?
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's Nobody was the first one was Nobody. This is a sequel. Nobody. It's Bob Odenkirk, who I love. He's really good, but he's just this kind of like family guy, and he gets pulled into some danger in the first one, and his instincts is like his training from his father and his family and a prior career in some sort of operations field or whatever come out, and it ends up being almost like a tongue-in-cheek John Wick, like everybody dies in this really common. So they take that in Nobody 2. It's not great. It's fine. But the setup they have to kill all the goons, all the bad guys, is a kind of like this trap inside a amusement park. So they rig an entire amusement park with all kinds of deadly stuff. And so as they go through, they're triggering all these bombs and explosions and whatnot. And so it's like this really like tongue in cheek kind of fun, just everybody dies in very violent ways. I watched that on the treadmill. I didn't watch that with my kids.
This sounds a whole lot like the grown-up version of Home Alone.
Yeah, it's exact. And you brought it back to Christmas movies. High five.
I did.
Always Christmas movies.
And your favorite one.
Well, that's
your
right.
favorite one.
And this was just as believable. So good.